Happy to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing in the city and basically get your input in terms of innovation and performance going forward. So I like to create this more as a discussion. I'll talk to you a little bit, but then we can open it up for a general Q&A if that works for you. So the main thing that I want to start off with is, what is innovation and performance? This is a new department and a new role in the city, and what is actually behind these words that we're using. So the Innovation and Performance Department is actually a newly formed department. We're entering our first year anniversary actually on February 20th. In a couple weeks. Before that, we were just your City Information Systems Department, just your IT department, as many of you might be familiar. We were doing back-end hardware, software, computer data systems. When a computer was broken, we would fix it. When someone forgot their password, we would give them a new password, etc. It was very much of a reactive kind of department. We would support the departments in terms of their technology needs, but it wasn't very much until after the fact. You know, very much, I need to buy a computer, let me speak to the IT department at that point. And per Mayor Peduto's vision, he wanted to really transform this department into something more proactive, into strategic. So even before you think about buying the computer, we enter into the strategy, thinking about the process. Why do you need the computer in the first place? Maybe you don't need a computer, maybe you need something else. Why do you need that particular software? We actually have tons of other existing software, for instance, that will help you do that kind of solution. So through that, we were embedded into City Council. So I had to get confirmed by City Council, and we're actually in City Code. And the core of this bill that was passed unanimously by City Council was that we, as this department, would go through that extreme oversight and management of all technology, systems, sustainability initiatives through the city. This is really important for us because before that, we were in the mayor's office, which meant that at any point, the mayor, if there would be changes, could just abolish city information services at any point. We weren't embedded or institutionalized into the department, and once it became full-fledged into the city government, into city code, that means innovation and performance is embedded. That means if there's a new mayor, which is inevitable, or there's fluctuations in the city government, we would never leave. So that basically laid the groundwork for us and changed the way that we thought going forward. Once we got that process, it still maintained a certain kind of operations. What does that mean in terms of cultural change around innovation and performance? How do we shift from day-to-day essential operations, which is still vital, into more longer-term visionary thinking? And so that's where we started to do some major streamlining and structural transformations around innovation and performance, which I think affect many of you in terms of how you think about your work and your studies. At the end of the day, our core functions, our essential operations, are still very much important in terms of making sure that the city runs in terms of its operations, in terms of its services, making sure that we're providing all the different needs to the residents of the city of Pittsburgh, supporting departments, but how do we go beyond that in terms of the value-added services? And that's where I was talking earlier about the shift in terms of our operations. But also there was another shift in terms of external operations, which is why I'm here. Again, before we were very internal looking, very much back-end supporting the departments, but we found that we had a very strong external role to play to support the community, to support the neighborhoods, and how do we shift towards that? What is our commitment to that? So what drove that kind of shift and that kind of thinking is the innovation roadmap. The innovation roadmap is basically our strategic plan, our commitment to the city and to its residents. As many of you know, there's a lot of trends and there's a lot of sexy silver bullet solutions that come around technology, especially given the iterative, reoccurring process of these things. It's very easy for all of us to lose focus and just go and react to the latest trends. And it's very easy for me to do that as well. You know, there's a shiny new software, there's a shiny new technology, let's focus on that. But what we really wanted to do, especially since we were a new department, especially since we were moving beyond external or essential operations and moving into an external city engagement, was that we needed a strategic blueprint. What is our plan in order to take innovation to the next level and to make innovation more inclusive? How can we systematically think about the strategy that we were going towards, and how can we really plan it? And that's what we were trying to do with this innovation roadmap and the beginnings of it. It would be something that would be driven with city leadership, but it would be something that would be owned collectively by all, because we knew, especially with the youth of our department and the ambition of the mayor, we couldn't do it by ourselves. And we needed something that was more collectively owned. So we went about a process in terms of massive engagement. We started this summer and fall in terms of a series of roundtables, which I'll talk about, in terms of generating ideas, soliciting feedback, trying to get a baseline analysis of where we are, what we want to do, and where we want to be. And we very much are now in the part of getting your feedback, of finalizing some of these actions. And what we found is two things. Data. Data is very essential to this, both in terms of not only being able to help you with your decision making, but also to help us formulate our plans. So there were two things coming out of the data that we were really excited about. I don't know if you heard that in February, late last year actually, we passed the open data legislation. Have you heard about this? Yeah? No? Do you know? So our open data legislation is actually really exciting. It means that all non-confidential, all non-personal data is open by default. It's owned collectively by all of us. And through that, our data and analytics strategy manager, Laura Meixel, has been key in it, is actually a Pitt grad as well, has been driving our regional data center. It's very much a partnership that we've been leading with the University of Pittsburgh, CMU, and the county, which will create a regional data center to have these data sets available for everyone, both in terms of the raw form, so you can make applications, development, but also in a more visually compelling, easy to understand way. And we're very excited to be releasing our first set of data by the end of this year as part of this. But also what we wanted was to collect data for our own internal purposes, for driving the innovation roadmap and trying to understand how we want to take it there. So this is what we did. We convened a series of innovation roundtables with the mayor and key representatives and groups in the community. These roundtables focused on the maker community, the accelerator co-working space community, clean tech, venture capitalists, angel investors, as well as technology startups and entrepreneurs. All around these innovation roundtables, we basically wanted to thank them, appreciate that actually even without the city, innovation was already happening, as seen in this forum, as seen in this conference. It's not that we are creating something new, it's the recognition that and the appreciation that innovation is happening, but also what more can the city do to drive innovation? What is the role of the city to continue to support you? Secondly is to really galvanize greater awareness around innovation. One of the things that we found when we talked about innovation is that it's often selective. The people that talk about innovation are a small group of people that have the network and the resources. And we purposely made a very strategic outreach to the wider community to share and publicize the discussions around the roundtable, the feedback around the roundtable, which is why that all the summaries and YouTube videos of the roundtable are available, and it was aired on our city cable channel. Because what we found was that people who watch the city cable channel are not the same people who follow Twitter. ultimately. And we need to make sure that this is available for everyone in the city of Pittsburgh, regardless of your background and experience. And this was just a very successful way to try to understand where we were and what needed to be done. The second thing that we did was extensive public engagement. So throughout the fall, we had an extensive survey to meet up tech groups, and we also used Engage Pittsburgh, which was our online social media platform, to ask questions. Again, asking what do we need to do as a community, as a city, to take innovation to the next level, and how can we be more inclusive? Because often the most innovative cities are the most exclusive cities. And that's not necessarily where we as a city and as a community want to go to. So if we are going to move innovation forward, how can we make sure that all neighborhoods and all sectors are a part of that? And we've got some extensive responses. We also looked at international and national best practices. You know, what are other cities doing around innovation? What are some great things? What can we learn from, not only in terms of the process, in terms of how they went about doing it, but also the outcome. And we benchmarked over 30 cities around the world. They might not call it an innovation roadmap, they call it a technology plan or a digital plan, or there was some sort of plan that, or framework that guided cities moving forward. And Pittsburgh, as it moves up in these national and international rankings, and that recognition should be a part of that and should learn. And we didn't want to reinvent the wheel per se, we wanted to learn from other cities. And there were some amazing things that we found. So this is just a selection. So among national cities, we found Chicago and New York having some really great ideas. Chicago has these neighborhood data sensors that can capture a lot of different information that then can be translated into policy and programs to move it at the neighborhood block level. Pittsburgh, with its 90+ neighborhoods all around, is prime for that kind of sensor and data collection, especially at that community. New York has this amazing digital NYC website that has amazing startup information, funding information, events, jobs, a portal that everyone can galvanize and go to for information about innovation in New York. And its reach has been amazing, and it's something that we wanted to model ourselves as we were going through our website updates. Around international, Tel Aviv and Lisbon, Tel Aviv has been having some amazing things around digital libraries and public libraries, and that's something that obviously with our strong library network, with Carnegie Libraries, with the Allegheny County Libraries, that we wanted to reach out to. How can we make sure that the digital infrastructure is fully utilized, is able to get more library and community access? Because as we know, the library isn't just a place where you get books, it becomes more of a community center. So how can we translate that in the city of Pittsburgh? And then in Lisbon, just making business easier. How can we make business easier? How can we make sure that startups or even just small businesses, mom and pop type stores, are able to go through the different permits and licenses and zoning processes that often are pretty tedious? And how can we make it easier? How can we make this faster, more efficient, more transparent? How can we shorten the time? We recently, last week, just hosted a small business fair where we had the departments of Public Works, the Allegheny County Health Department, the City Planning, the Department of Finance, which oversees taxes and different local fees, come together to talk about their process. And we invited a string of small business owners to come to not only listen from the directors and the chiefs themselves, but then we had tablers so then they can ask questions about their specific question. But also we filmed it, so for those that couldn't come personally, then they have access to this information. We're now working on trying to diagram the process in terms of from start to finish. How do you get a health permit for your restaurant? How do you get zoning for your particular small business up online, so you can have that rather than having to physically go to the city county building within a certain time period, or trying to call someone who might not be the most helpful. So these are kind of things that we're trying to go forward and using best practices internationally. And then finally, we looked at ourselves. You know, where are our strengths? What are our weaknesses? What are our threats and opportunities? And I know many of you have opinions about these. You know, we as a city have a very strong identity, and we're very proud, and we've been very successful in what we've done. But what we've also done is we've been very humble. We haven't been as self-promoting in some ways as other cities around the world, and I've seen it. It's incredible by how much we've done, but we haven't showcased it in the same way. How can we attract talent? How can we attract investors? How can we make sure that people know about the good work that we're doing? Because we're very happy to share it, but we're not quite there in terms of the promotion of it. But we also have different threats in terms of our infrastructure, in terms of our population. How can we keep talent like you in the city to make sure that you can contribute? These are things that are challenges for us that are part of our innovation roadmap. So what does this mean? So we went through this extensive, analysis in terms of the roundtables, seeking public opinion. We went through benchmarking through 30 cities. We looked through ourselves in terms of where we are. How does this actually translate to what we are doing as the city and what we can do as a community to again drive the two goals that we had, which was take innovation to the next level and make innovation more inclusive. Now these are pretty grand goals, but how can we break this down, you ask? This is how we broke it down. We had 4 main areas around business and enterprise, city government, clean technology, and civic engagement. Then we had the 7 goals, and then we're at the point where there's 26 actions that we need to undertake in order to, so very, very concrete actions, because you can talk about all these lofty visions, but let's get it down. What do we need to implement to do this, and how can we do this together? These actions underwent exclusive or a pretty tedious criteria. At the end of the day, is this something that we can afford? Can we do the resources? Is it something that we as a city can mandate, or do we need to overturn state law or talk to national, federal government? What is it something that our capacity is? Is it innovative? Does it make an impact? And what's the time frame? Are we talking about 1 year that we can do? Or are we talking about multi-year because it's major infrastructure changes? We need to realistically have this criteria to counteract the prioritization of our actions. So finally, we went through these ideas, and this is just a sample idea, and again, this is open for discussion and comment, but one of our plans is that we wanted to increase community engagement. This is after the Chicago model that we looked at. What about some sensors in the neighborhoods to collect information that then can feed into our regional data center, for instance, but also allows it to be driven by you in terms of your needs? How can we make sure that's available for all of us? Another ideas that are some that are already in progress that we've been doing, and we've been pretty busy, were as part of the regional data center, we had Code for America fellows come in as well. Are you guys familiar with Code for America? Yeah? So we've been very lucky that Pittsburgh is one of the Code for America cities. We have a team of fellows here. Right now, actually, they'll be here for the month of February, here talking about procurement reform. So very much part of our business, how can we make it easier to do business in the city of Pittsburgh? How can we make sure that minorities and women-owned businesses can have a competitive edge in terms of doing business? How can we make this more transparent? So they have a year-long study to understand procurement reform from a design, policy, legal, technical, financial aspect to ensure that we can, again, make this easier for everyone. Another thing that we've been doing is around some of the social media that we've been, are all of you part of Nextdoor? next door, yeah. So now it's at a neighborhood level. So something that we had in partnership earlier last year, where you can now send out specific neighborhood information out to people so they know about it. 311, are you familiar with 311? Yeah, so 311 is your first point of contact for non-emergency related services. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you want to report a problem. 311 traditionally was just a call center. So you have to call between this time and this time, and you could leave voicemail, but now you can send an email, you can tweet at 311. We're one of the few call centers in the country that actually accepts service requests through Twitter. We have 3,500 plus followers right now, and we're actively tweeting at various points, so follow PGH 311 if you get a chance. And we're also implementing a new CRM system for 311, which means that it will be more mobile. When a public works worker finishes a pothole, they'll be able to snap the picture, send it back to the service request, and you'll be able to get that instant feedback in terms. A few other things is PGH Streets. Are you familiar with this one? No, so this one's actually developed out of the Steel City Code Fest. Who knows about, as well as Google, Carnegie Libraries, and a huge other slew of community partners, which is just a huge hackathon. But a hackathon used for services and whatnot. And this particular one took information, existing public works information, in terms of trash pickup, recycling, yard pickup, and developed an app. So then you can type in your address and know when your trashes can be picked up, recycling pickup, and yard pickup. And you can actually get text alerts to have a reminder in terms of when you need to put out the particular trash or yard waste or whatever. And this is a result of that kind of collaboration that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Because what would usually happen is that you forget what day your yard pickup is or what day your recycling is you can call 311, and 311 has a big binder, and you have someone manually looking what day in order to respond to your answer. And that's what Public Works did before too. And now you have this kind of tool that not only helps you, but honestly helps us as well. Another thing, online snowplow tracker. Are you guys familiar with this one? Yeah. This is the newest one. The caveats, it's a first version. I know there's a lot more that can be done. I do also like to tell you that I was talking to my Boston counterpart, and they said that they tried to launch a snowplow tracker a few years ago, and it failed miserably. And to this day, Boston, which has undergone a lot of snow, has yet to have a snowplow tracker, which I think puts us ahead of the curve a little bit. But this is another great project that we've been working with the Department of Public Works, obviously, on in terms of how you know when the movements of our public service vehicles. But this is also part of a comprehensive snow resource center, which I like to advocate that because it's not, and this is coming from me, it's not just the technology. It's not just the silver bullet solution, that's shiny object. It's part of a comprehensive snow resource page. So you can go to this page to not only know about the snowplow tracker, but the levels, what level we are on that affects the snow conditions, so you can plan accordingly. Where the warming centers are, if they are opened. How about our Snow Angels program, which is a volunteer program for senior citizens if they can't shovel snow. 311 information, snowplow or snow ordinance. So all this information within this one-stop shop that's laid out that makes it easier for you to plan your routes and your safety accordingly. And then finally, Fiscal Focus Pittsburgh. Which is the newest thing that we launched with the Controller's Office and OMB, which basically allows you to know how we're spending our money at the end of the day. So previously, how you knew that was either you had to be very much a nerd in office and management budget terms, or you can go online and download our PDF, which was a huge budget book. And it was just line by line Excels of how much different line items cost throughout the year. And honestly, it was pretty tedious. You probably wouldn't want to do that. Didn't have time to. But now we have this visually compelling graphic, which you can search by department, by year, how much we're spending, where are the trends, going by actual versus estimate, and then us being accountable to you in terms of our spending, because at the end of the day, you're paying for us. You're paying for us to deliver, and you need to make sure that we're using the money wisely. So this is another exciting platform. We now also have online auction, which previously you had to go to a public auction, and you can do a traditional bid. Now we have an eBay-like platform where you can actually buy city assets that we otherwise would be stuck in a basement somewhere. Last I checked, we had couches for sale for $5. So if you, especially for universities. So first of all, I like to say we have a really strong partnership. I'm very proud, and this is why I'm here. I'm very supportive of our university partnerships. This is where the talent is. This is where the energy and the expertise is, and this is why I'm showing you all this stuff. We've done a lot of stuff, but there's still a host of really good interns and fellows. Tara, right there, Matthews, is one driving this innovation roadmap actually, and they're doing some really important work around this. We also have capstones and systems projects that we sponsor with departments if you're interested in a more dedicated research study. But we also have a strategic MOU that we've signed with the highest level officials, where we track every few weeks the projects that are going on. So then we can give them feedback and they can give us feedback in terms of how we can ensure that the research is actually being utilized for city operations, city policy. You're not just doing research, or you're not just doing your studies in a vacuum. It's actually providing a real need in terms of our decision making. So this is really exciting. We hope that there will be more collaboration, especially as you know more about this. We're always open to more ideas. What are some other ideas that you think that we should be taking on? What are we failing at, frankly? What do we need to do better at? Tell us. Don't just complain, tell us, and then help us do something about it. I think that's what we want to do. We have the innovation roadmap. Here are the actions. Some of the actions might not be the best. Some could be better, but if you don't tell us about this and you don't contribute, then it's really hard for us to move forward. What I think is so great about university partnerships is that ultimately you're here, but you live in the city too, and this is our city. So this is something that we're very much into going forward on. So I want to end with the goal, which is the vision that we have. I didn't want to start it at the beginning because I feel often when you start with a vision at the beginning, you forget and you kind of go through a process. But the vision is to transform Pittsburgh into a world-class city through the intersection of technology, sustainability, and performance. So again, it's not just CIS, as in City Information Systems, just a shiny technology. It's really thinking about how we utilize technology and data and other tools in order to drive innovation and performance, and to really think about creating a culture of innovation and accountability at all sectors and levels of society. It's a grand vision, but it's a vision that's coming from the mayor himself, and that's what makes this really exciting. And I just open this up for questions if you have.